What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of the BMR NBA show. My name is Junior Browne, joined as always, barely, but with my homie, Jordan Sharp. I shouldn't say barely because I was having internet connections before we got in. I had to run my ass over here to this other spot just to make sure we're here for you guys. We don't want to let you guys down. We appreciate you joining us. If you guys can hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. My guy Jordan's here. John Wick had to pull some maneuvers. How'd you do it, Jordan?
I had some alternative modes of transportation coming back. Not only did I just like swim a mile or a little more than that, I had to ride back from the Danatorium downtown on a scooter because I forgot my wallet and couldn't get my car out of the garage. We've had problems this morning, but we're back, baby. Crappy night last night in the NBA, though. Although, if you watch the show, my picks sucked, but our leans are the dogs, like all the dogs that we were leaning towards. Cleveland, the Bulls, the Magic. I know I should have jumped on the Thunder yesterday, man. That was the one I was like, 12. You're giving me 12.5 points against the Thunder. They almost won that game outright. It took Paul George heroics for them to come back and win that game. John Morant questionable, didn't matter. Grizzlies tore down our Nuggets picks. That was one of the ones, and then the Bulls in Boston just were skied over the total. That one wasn't even there was zero defense played by the Boston Celtics in that game. I want to talk to you a little bit about that real quick once I throw it over to you. But there were some interesting Marcus Smart comments this morning. Pretty much exactly what if you were to go back and watch the show yesterday, it is exactly what we were talking about in the Boston Celtics. It's like, hey, might want to move the ball a little bit because it sounds like you guys have some issues. And then the play that you and I were both on, I thought this one was money. Atlanta and Washington under. The third quarter couldn't have gone better for us. And then lo and behold, the fourth quarter, Atlanta just turns it on and ends up barely going over the total in that one. So that one kind of was unfortunate. And then obviously Toronto, big upset last night against the Knicks. And also Pacers, nice win as well for the Pacers yesterday. How'd you end up, my guy? I was 0-3.
I went 1-2. I hit the 76ers pick and lost the under on the Pacers Spurs. I mean, the Pacers scored 131 points, right? So, and lost on the Denver money line, which is fine. Denver's in a weird spot right now. I'm going to kind of fall back on them. Michael Porter Jr. is still ice cold, and unless he gets back to something close to what he was last year, they don't have enough offense without him and Jamal Murray being out. But I'll tell you one thing, though. Marcus Smart almost validated my point about watching games because I argue with my homeboys about this all the time. I'm in several group chats, as I'm sure most of you that watch this. And in one of my group chats, there's like a couple of different guys that are Celtics fans. And they get offended when I'm like, listen, bro, I know you watch games, but I watch games with the intent of investing money in it. So, like, I'm not just, like, watching it and then, like, if I get distracted by something, I miss a play, I'm rewinding that. Whereas you guys are not doing that. You're watching some plays. You're watching as fans. You're watching for entertainment purposes. If you're watching it as a neutral, as an investor, it's impossible to not notice that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are just doing my turn, your turn. They're not running an offense. They're just going, okay, I took the last shot, you took the next shot. I took these last three, you take the next four. And everybody else, including Marcus Smart, is just kind of standing around watching. That's way too easy to defend. It's just way too easy to defend. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like their new coach has the cachet or the experience to tell these guys, like, fall back. You guys can't do this. Because I feel like they think, finally, we spent our whole career under Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens doesn't just let us do whatever we want.
Yeah, there's a system. Yeah.
There's a system. Now that this new guy's in, what is this new guy going to tell us what to do? He'll be out of here in 5 minutes if he tries to tell us what to do. So it's not good. I'm sure they'll figure it out. And listen, as for Marcus Smart, he is the leader of that team. It is his responsibility to call out the youngins.
He's right, too.
Yeah, they're youngins, and he's the vet, and he's like, yo, you guys know what you're doing, and you know it doesn't work, and you're still doing it. Y'all are being selfish. So I actually have a lot of respect for Marcus Smart for doing that because somebody needed to say it, and he's the one with – speaking of having cachet, what has he been in Boston, like 11, 12 years now? He has the cachet to say those kind of things. So I really like it. I don't really have too much else to say about the rest of the slate. Yesterday we spent so much time talking about the day before slate that we had to hurry through the game. So let's not do that today.
Yeah,
let's get rolling. Let's get rolling with today's action whenever y'all are ready.
First game on the slate, real interesting because it's another kind of spot like Philly last night. Bucks missing 3 starters on the road, only 2 possession favorites. You got a Pistons team who every time we talk about the Pistons, we have to obligatorily tell you that they play hard and they're not going to give up, and they really don't care if you're the defending champions coming in. They're going to try to beat you. Now, that offense is leaves a lot to be desired. Let's be honest. But they're a work in progress. They're a young team. It's not like they don't have pieces of guys that can score on a Bucks team. And I don't want to tell you a quick story real quick, but I'm basically part of my job, like my day job, is to like keep up the NBA depth charts, right? And every time I do an update, you can tell the teams that suck, right, or that have not been playing well, because I have to do a lot of updates. You got to be like, well, we were completely wrong on this team, or this team's completely changed what they were trying to do earlier in the year because it wasn't working, and now they have to give guys minutes who weren't either normally planned to give minutes to, or just were buried on the depth chart, and they were like, hey, we better get this guy some minutes because we can't score. Both of these teams qualified the last time I did that, and even more so the Bucks, because I think there were a lot of guys that are like Thanasis Antetokounmpo, kind of knew Jordan Nwora was going to get some more minutes, but he's completely exceeded expectations. But that's almost out of necessity for this team, and tonight's going to be out of definite necessity because all they got is Giannis and a bunch of young guys and George Hill tonight, and it's going to be tough, even against the Pistons, I think, for them to potentially score points in here in this one. I mean, I don't think I'm taking the points, but there are definitely people that are, because that line has shortened to half point since I saw it last night, or early this morning, I should say, because it wasn't open last night when I saw it. 211 points, though. I mean, man, the first team to 105 is going to win this one, right, Junior? I mean, I get that's basically what this boils down to. I don't know which one of these 2 teams it's going to be. I would lean Pistons, but I don't think I'm investing my money in the Pistons just yet.
Okay, so I have a 2-team money line parlay on this game. And the first half of that parlay is the Bucks. And the reason that I'm going with the Bucks is because the Pistons are absolutely horrible. And I feel like the Bucks are in a situation where all of a sudden now these next couple of games are must-win games if you consider their upcoming schedule. It does concern me a little bit that Cade Cunningham is going to play meaningful minutes in this game, because I just feel like that's going to get the crowd hype. That's probably going to be a big boost to his teammates. And it's going to bring them something that they lack, which is playmaking, because they have no playmaker whatsoever. And that's a big thing. Like, I haven't really been saying that so far this season. But as you guys continue to watch this show, you're going to hear me say that a lot. I'm still trying to figure out who these teams are. I'm not trying to kind of lump them into the guys that they were last year. But the Pistons right now are like 25th, 26th in assists. And until Cade Cunningham comes back and is really raring to go, the number is not really going to improve much without him. And teams that have – well, first of all, here's the problem for the Pistons, okay? They're last in the league in 2-point field goal percentage, which isn't really that big of a deal if you're making threes. They're last in the league in 3-point percentage as well. Mm-hmm. You can't be last in both. It has to be – you can't be the worst 3-point shooting team and the worst 2-point shooting team. That's like one of those stats that, again, it's so early in the season that it's kind of an anomaly, but it paints a very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Because I was about to use a really fancy word. Let me use a less fancy word. The near future is not looking bright.
Yeah.
Because then you throw into that, okay, well, you're the worst at making threes. You're the worst at making twos. Do you at least make up for that by grabbing a lot of rebounds? No. They're the worst defensive rebounding team in the league. They're 29th in overall rebounding, 20th in defensive rebounding. So the fact that they're 10th in offensive rebounding is literally the only reason they probably even have one win. Because they're literally not doing anything else well. They're last in scoring. They're terrible at defending their three. They're last in the league in threes made, and they're last in 3-point percentage against. They're last in the league in 3-point percentage for. Like, bro, how many things am I going to say in 1 2-minute, soliloquy, like a famous ESPN person likes to say? How many times am I going to say you're last in something before I say I'm completely out on you? Like, I can't. I'm trying to find positives. I'm digging, and the more I dig, the more I see that they are absolutely horrendous. Again, when Cade Cunningham comes, he literally fills a couple of different positions and a couple of different roles.
Yeah.
Eventual leader, playmaker, ball handler, shot maker, and just a reason for the crowd to just be excited, because the crowd in Detroit, because Detroit Pistons fans are some of the most loyal basketball fans in the NBA, they've kind of had it with this now.
Mm-hmm.
They've kind of
It's been a long time. Yeah, I mean, they've been bad for a while now.
Yeah, because they even had that little run with Andre Drummond where they made the like a 7-8 seed a couple of times, but you knew they were going to lose in the first round. It was not even a question. So they've been bad for a long, long time. The fans are tired of it. I haven't spoken much about Milwaukee, but I just think Milwaukee is not in a position to not win games like this. So I've took them on the money line. I just need them to win outright. If Milwaukee loses this game, I would be worried.
Yeah,
the Bulls are 5-1. Washington's 5-1. Miami's 5-1. The Knicks are 5-1. Charlotte's 5-2. Like, every team in the Eastern Conference is winning. Again, it's too early to say they got to keep pace. They're only 2 games off of that. They're 3-4, but they've played more games than all of the teams that I've just mentioned and only have 3 wins.
Of all the contenders, they also have had the most injuries too. I don't want to give them excuses, but you're exactly right. Yeah.
But that's why games like this are literally, and which is why I have them on the money line. This is of all the games that you can say tonight are a must-win game. This is must-win game territory, not only because of the situation they find themselves in, but the quality of opponent that they're playing. So with all of that said, let's get to this next game. Heat traveling to their namesake. Both of these teams, if you write basketball articles like we do, this can get really annoying because the Heat play in American Airlines Arena, and Dallas plays in American Airlines stadium?
Whatever. Yeah,
it's like it's like the last word is
Miami's was first though, right? Miami's been American Airlines forever. I remember in 2005 or what was the year after they won the title. I was down there and I saw a game and it was American Airlines Arena down there. I think Miami has seniority on the American Airlines Arena thing.
Agreed. By the way, agreed. So it's a battle of American Airlines Arena. I got Miami on the money line, okay? The second half of my parlay, but I'll shoot this over to you, Jordan, because I literally just been talking for 4 or 5 minutes. What you got on this game?
I have nothing official today, and it's sad because this slate does have a few spots that I'm interested in. I think if I might jump on something, it's going to be the Miami Heat tonight for the very simple reason that, and the only thing that's keeping me off of them right now is the very simple reason is Bam Adebayo's questionable. Now he's got a bruise. Take that for what it will. I didn't quite look at their schedule just yet, but I'm going to pull that up now. But either way, you talk about teams that are struggling on offense. The Detroit Pistons 30th in offensive efficiency. Guess who's 28th? The Dallas Mavericks. And once again, Kristaps Porzingis is questionable. I don't, the way he's played, I don't think it matters too much whether he plays because, I believe they've been down a couple bigs as well here, so they've been kind of having to dig a little deep. If Bam sits, I think that may scare me off of it. That's the one thing that I'm kind of keeping me from firing at least right now. But my finger's on the trigger for the Heat tonight for sure. They're I think right now, as currently constructed, the best defensive team in the NBA. Every single guy that they have, basically, other than maybe Duncan Robinson, who they just hide, everybody defends, and even the guys that come off their bench defend really well. They got Dedmon and Morris coming off. That's a pretty formidable front court off the bench defensively. Both those guys can play. That can guard out on the perimeter if they get switched onto a guard. This team's tough, and if you're talking about a team that switches really well, which the Miami Heat can do if they need to, and B are just excellent and individual defenders for the most part. They're going to be able to do basically whatever they want to the Dallas Mavericks defensively tonight. Even if they are, even on the road, maybe the shots might not be falling tonight. I still don't think it's going to matter. I'm real hesitant to take road favorites at this point, but I've been hard pressed to find a spot where I'm not going Mavericks this year. It's just as simple as that. It's more so. It's not so much about how good the Heat are, even though it is very much about that. Because, like I said, I think their defense is top tier. It's just that the Dallas offense has just been so bad and so top heavy that teams and we talked about this 2 days ago. The more they have film on the Dallas Mavericks, specifically Luka Doncic doing what he does, the easier it's going to be. And for a team like the Heat tonight, who prides themselves on defense, and I think have moments where their offense are probably going to take advantage of the smaller Mavs front court as well, assuming Porzingis sits again, and assuming Bam does play. This is going to be the play that I jump on right now. Is Heat -2, -2.5. It's all lining up right now for them. And as I said, I don't usually like home or road underdogs, but this one is just too much. I'm still putting Dallas in the fade early and often category right now.
All right, I'm going to be an asshole for a second because I like to play that role. Luka Doncic is a special player. Luka Doncic, unless he suffers some kind of horrific injury, will be a Hall of Famer. Luka Doncic is putting up the best stats as a 21-year-old. He's 22 now, but as a 21-year-old, since the best stats that we've seen since LeBron James. So I hold Luka in as high esteem as you can possibly hold a player, which I should. He's an amazing talent, okay? But here's the problem that I see with Luka. The first time I ever saw Luka Doncic play, I was like, how does this 18, 19-year-old dude have a dad bod? Like, he doesn't work out? Like, he doesn't do cardio? Like, he doesn't... Luka Doncic looks to me like when the game is over, he has like a 6-pack of beer and a couple cigarettes. That's the impression that I get just by looking at him. Because
you wanted old school basketball back. You got it. That's what old school guys were doing right there.
You see what I'm saying? Like, he does not look like, and I'm not saying that he's not in shape. I'm a big ass dude. Like me, dude. When I was in high school, as a high school senior, I was 6'3", 210. I'm a big dude. Like, I'm not a small guy. So obviously, as an adult, I like immediately after I started playing ball, I kind of like had dad bod. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not talking shit without knowing what that feels like, right? Because if as a player I was 210, you can imagine that once I got out of shape, I got to 240 real quick. My point is, when I look at Luka, he doesn't look in shape. And for a guy that's not quicker than anybody, that ain't going to outjump anybody, he probably has to turn that part of him, like, I'm not going to say his game, but he's going to have to rededicate himself to the sport because this season he looks slow. He looks kind of uninterested. And he's the one who got I mean, he didn't get rid of Rick Carlisle, but they got rid of Rick Carlisle to appease Luka. They brought in Jason Kidd as a player's coach to appease Luka. So you got what you want. You can't now have this attitude. And again, I'm projecting. I don't know Luka Doncic. He barely speaks to the media. And when he does, he gives you, the generic quotes that you learn when you go to media training as a professional. He just gives you the generic, oh yeah, we played hard, or we moved the ball. Like, he never gives you insight to anything. So I'm not acting like I know this guy, but what I'm saying is, this is a guy, and this is the most damning criticism I can give him. He's shooting 49% less free throws per game than he was last year. It's only 6 games, but he's taking 4.7 free throw attempts per game and 7 threes a game. He's shooting 67% from those 4.7 attempts from the free throw line, which for a player of his ability is horrendous. He's shooting 23% from 3, which is putrid. That's beyond horrendous. That's like you shouldn't even be shooting threes. So, and look at the shots that he takes. This guy's taking the degree of difficulty of the shot attempts that he takes. Like, it's not going to make that number look better. So the point I'm trying to make is, while Luka is subpar, unlike the Sixers who have a subpar Joel Embiid by his standards, everyone else around him is balling out of their mind. You got a subpar Luka, and you got a lot of surrounding pieces that are just not very good. Kristaps Porzingis is 7'3", and he's shooting 30% from the field. My God, he's taking He's taking like 6 threes a game, and he's shooting 23%, just like Luka. It's just all bad news over there. Like, they are the opposite of a Bayern team to me. And I say all of that to say they're facing the Heat with the number 1 defense in the league. Jordan says they look like the number 1 defense. They, in fact, are the number 1 defense. And here's the more impressive part. They're not just the number 1 defense in the league. They've had the hardest strength of schedule to start the league, to start the season. So they're doing this against quality opponents. I think Kyle Lowry, I think Jimmy Butler, I think PJ Tucker, they all want a piece of Luka.
They're licking their lips tonight, man. Two games real quick because we got a couple more games we got to get on real quick. 2 games in his career because there's been 3 actually that Jimmy Butler and Luka faced, but I think Luka got hurt and one didn't finish. Last 2 games, Luka Doncic against Jimmy Butler, 6 for 39, which is about 41% from the field, 3 for 16 from 3, and 11 turnovers. It's not going to be pretty tonight.
It's not. So with that said, my parlay is Bucks Heat money line plays plus 170. Jump on that if you're trying to cash some tickets because it's my first official money line parlay play of the season. Jordan will tell you
the money line parlays. I love them.
Cash those, boy. I cash those. I'm telling you, I cash those. Watch. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I cash those. All right. Jordan, as I've been long-winded as usual, I'll let you start us off in this next game.
Let's fast forward here to 2021 where we are because first I want to take a deep dive back to a few years ago, right? This spread 2 years ago would have been perfect, right?
You talking Kings Jazz?
Yeah, that's the game wrong, right? Kings Jazz 9 points, right? Is basically a 2 years ago version of what you would have expected the Kings and the Jazz to be now. Now, fast forward to the 2021-22 version of the Sacramento Kings, and I have a few reservations about laying this many points with the Utah Jazz at home right now against this team. For starters, Kings might have as good or better guards than the Utah Jazz, and I said this briefly yesterday when we talked because I was almost just looking ahead at this game, but the Kings defensively look good. They may not be like a good defensive team, I think mainly because they just have so much interior issues. They don't have a ton of size, and once guys do get into the paint, it's going to be hard-pressed for them to stop them. But they have some dogs defensively, man. Davion Mitchell impresses the hell out of me. That dude is small, but he will get into your business, and he's not going to let you get by him. He had some defensive possessions there in their last game that were extremely impressive on Sunday against Dallas. And they have a ton of guys that can do that to these Jazz players, right? So, I mean, and you're the one that preaches this all the time. If your perimeter players are getting slowed down, let's just say slowed down, not stopped, but slowed down, and preventing them from getting into the paint, they're either going to have to settle for a lot of long range jumpers and hopefully you get some open threes, or they're going to have to figure out how to get some interior offense. Well, Rudy Gobert's not giving you a ton of interior offense unless he's playing a 2-man game of some kind, whether it's in the post, whether it's pick and roll, whatever it is. He's got to have some other guy kind of setting him up and getting him open, or at least drawing his defender's attention away from him in order to get to a spot on the floor where he's comfortable making a shot, which it's only about inside 10 feet for Rudy. So if dare I say the Kings may have some defensive upside in this game, and I'm interested to see where you have to say that because I'm high on the Jazz this year. It's not that I'm lining up to just fade the Utah Jazz here at home, which is not something I do very often at all. I think it's more so just like the Kings are being undervalued here by the sports books by a point or two. I don't think it's far off. I don't think this line should be 5 or 6 by any means, but maybe 7.5. 8 would be maybe more of a true number. I think that they're shading the Jazz a little bit more just because they know that I think they're going to take some money on the Jazz regardless here, and they're going to be in some big-ass money line parlays. I don't think the Kings are live tonight, but I think a cover is definitely within the cards tonight. They have some serious guys at the guard position that are going to give the Utah Jazz trouble tonight. That's pretty much where I keep coming back to on this one.
So I'm the first guy to make fun of things that people tell me that they saw in preseason. It's kind of like, hey, I saw so-and-so balling in Summer League. I'm like, oh, yeah, you ready to see him never play during the regular season ever? Because I've fallen for that way more times than I'm willing to admit. But I will bring up something that I did see in a preseason game. I saw Davion Mitchell guarding Donovan Mitchell. Mm-hmm. And he was on this mofo like a straitjacket, bro. He was not backing down at all. And I listen, nobody can stop Donovan Mitchell, especially when he's rolling. But when you just have guys that can get under someone's skin, that's so invaluable. That's such a thing. That's like one of those things that it's hard to even like put into proper context, because it's like when guys know that it's like when you got to face Jimmy Butler and you know he doesn't like you. You just kind of know, like, oh, god damn, bro.
I'm in for 48 minutes of hell tonight, yeah.
Like, this guy is going to just make this just, like, not a fun experience. Like, even John Morant against, I was saying, oh, he's not going to like playing against Will Barton and Campazzo. Well, he proved us wrong because he didn't really seem to have a problem with it. But that's because because I watched that game, that's because Will Barton couldn't hit the side of a barn yesterday. He went for like 1 for 8, 1 for 9. Like, so once he wasn't making shots, his whole enthusiasm was just kind of like, had he been making shots, he probably would have been all up on him. But anyways, just to piggyback off your point so we can get to these other games, Davion Mitchell is going to be all over him. The Sacramento Kings have guards that can definitely make this interesting. And the final point is Jordan's 100% right. This is not the correct spread. It's an inflated spread because casuals don't watch Sacramento Kings play basketball. I'm sorry to tell you that. If you're a casual, which at least 75% of bettors are, you don't watch the Kings. When was the last time the Kings were on prime time? Well, the Kings are just not that team. You don't know anything about them. You don't see them play often enough. So you're just looking at it, oh, Utah against the Kings? Obviously, Utah is going to win the game. And by margin, not necessarily, though. Yeah. Not necessarily.
They're going to have to be hitting a ton of shots. They're going to have to hit like 23s tonight to cover this. I really feel like that's the only path that Utah has.
Yeah, for me, if it's a gun to my head, it's Kings or nothing. But, yeah, I just don't feel like taking the points in this spot. But I agree with everything you just said. Next game on the slate, another pretty interesting one, to be honest. We've got the Pelicans headed to the desert to take on the Phoenix Suns. The Suns have been my squad since last season. I'm not going to say I'm a Suns fan. I'm a fan of cashing tickets.
Right.
That's why I like the Suns. They're 2-3 on the season. And the reason I have nothing on this game is because I just don't know enough about who they are. Look, this is going to sound like I'm being facetious. They missed Dario Saric in the playoffs in the finals last season. When Dario Saric got hurt and they had no more interior depth past Ayton, they just couldn't keep up with the Bucks. And I think that with DeAndre Ayton being questionable, I'm not even going to mention Saric because he's a long-term ACL injury. Cameron Payne is looking like he's got a hamstring problem. When you start taking pieces out of that Suns rotation, they're not a bet-on team for me. They're a by-committee team. They're a team that needs all of their pieces rolling. And with guys missing here, I don't know what to make of them. And as for the Pelicans, until Zion comes, I got Zion in my fantasy league, and it's
same.
It's a keeper league, so I've been on the Zion roller coaster the whole time. Until Zion comes back, they're not going to improve much from the 21st ranked offense, which they are, nor are they going to improve much from the 26th ranked defense. There's nothing about this team that says they're a bet-on team, so that's why this is a complete and utter pass for me.
The Pelicans are in an interesting spot here. You got the Zion injury, right? And he's like, I saw him doing some defensive drills on the court the other day, and the dude looks like he's like 350 pounds. Like he's not coming back for a while. Like they got to get him back into shape before he gets anywhere close to an NBA basketball court. Even even taking full contact and scrimmaging in practice, it seems like it's a far way for them. And the fact that they're 1-6, and then on top of that, you add in that their injury report has 3 starters on it tonight. Devontae Graham, questionable. Brandon Ingram, questionable. So 2 starters and a rotation player, Garrett Temple. Man, if I'm the New Orleans Pelicans, I'm kind of looking at this like, man, it may be time to pack it in already. And that sucks because they had 3 really close games, their last 3 losses. Like they were in it. And they play hard. And Willie Green's got this team playing a little bit better defense. They just don't have the horses right now. And it's as simple as that. If they don't have Graham and Ingram tonight, even just one of them, they're going to struggle against the Suns defense. The Suns, assuming Ayton is okay, just has once again, just a guy questionable with a bruise again. I'm not he's not hurt. He's just maybe a little banged up. He's not hurt. As Ayton plays tonight, the Pelicans may not score 85 points if those 2 guys don't play. If Graham and Ingram are out, if I knew who was going to play for this game, I'd maybe even ready to lay the points with the Suns. Because you talked about this with the Bucks and the Pistons. If you're the Suns, I kind of feel a little bit the same way about we got to win games like this. Even if Ingram and Graham do play, they should be able to win this game. They're 2-3 right now. If too much floundering in the Western Conference is going to cost these teams. We saw it last year with the Lakers. You get some injuries and you start, hanging out below 500. That's a hole that is going to be very hard to dig yourself out of. So I think for me, kind of looking at a team that, like, two teams that are kind of going in slightly different directions. The Suns obviously hurting a little bit, like you said, missing a few guys, but they probably looking at this game like we could smash these guys if we really wanted to. And I think they probably do. I'm not going to get in the business of laying 11.5 points with a team that's 2-3 and doesn't look right now, especially coming off of, a long season last year, which we knew. We literally said it the day after the season, like this is probably going to take some time for them early in the year, and it is. And I'm not ready to bet on them. So hard pass for me right now with the injury list included.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to add to this game. So let's move on to the final game. A game that is interesting, but not interesting enough for me to bet on. Interesting because I see something with the Houston Rockets and the LA Lakers. The Rockets are not going to win this game, but if you're laying this many points with the Lakers at this point of the season, you need to have your head examined, okay? Because first of all, I'm going to tell you what I didn't like in the last game. Russell Westbrook took the most shots on the team. The Lakers shot 40% from the field, and they still won the game. Now, they did that behind a great defensive effort, and you have to give that to them because Kevin Porter Jr. played pretty well. I have him on my fantasy team, too, so I actually pay attention to his performances. Christian Wood actually looked really lively. They had some things. They had some things going for them. But they just don't know how to finish, right? They're not a team that knows how to get it done. Obviously, that wasn't the case in this game. They were already down like 20-something points going into the fourth quarter. They let it slip away in the first half completely. They were down 12 after one quarter and 22 at halftime. But the Lakers didn't beat the Rockets because the Lakers were playing well. The Lakers beat the Rockets because the Rockets are a mishmash of very young guys that are still kind of trying to figure things out in the NBA. They go like 10, 11 deep because, again, they're just trying to find things. They're trying to see what they have, see what's working, put some combinations together. To lay this many points with an average team, which is what the Lakers are, is insanity to me. And also, if you're really actually paying attention to the Rockets games, Rockets play defense. For all the offensive struggles they have, their guys put in effort on defense, and they actually do pretty well. I mean, they held the Lakers to under 100 points. It's not the first time they've done that to a team this season, and they're pretty up there in defensive ranking. What do you think of this game?
I'm kind of interested in this game, actually, because we know that this is a home and home, or not actually, it's a home game because they've been in Los Angeles now. And both of these teams, and you look at how their last game came, I think a lot of people analyze these kind of games where they look at the last game of where they just played each other 2 nights ago, and they're like, what was it, 95, 85, something like that. Both teams shot like 40%. I think both teams shot like 20-something from beyond the three-point line. Like, it was a nasty game. And people probably are looking at that and assuming, that's bound to happen again, right? Like, they're not the Lakers' offensive struggles. They're a good defensive team. Like you just mentioned, the Rockets are a good defensive team, and their offense has been very, very bad in some spots. I'm kind of looking at it a little bit differently because both of these teams play extremely fast. They're top 1-2 right now in the league in pace. So it's not like they're not getting up and down the floor. It's just that some of these shots aren't falling, and that very well may continue tonight. But and I know scoring is down, and I know that's been a huge, huge thing. I don't think I have bet an over once this season. I don't think I'm going to continue, or I do think I'm going to continue that here today. But this would be the game where I would probably bank on an over if I did have to make a play on it, simply because the fact that these two just played each other, I think, does play a little bit more into their defense. But if you're Houston, I think you kind of look at that game and the way you kind of came and snuck in and got the backdoor cover, that you're like, I'm not really that scared of the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, the thing that's kind of also keeping me away is just the injury report. Also, once again, kind of a mile long right now. You got LeBron still questionable tonight. There's a very good chance that he could get the night off. That would crush an overplay. And I think the books are hedging against that with a total rate. What is it, like 217, 218? It's starting to go up a little bit too. So I think the steam's hitting it on the over. My lean may be correct if LeBron does end up playing and everybody ends up playing this game. But I don't think I'm going to get involved just yet because it's hard for me. It's one of those things where it's like, what you see so far, it's convincing, but you're not quite convinced yet. I'm not quite ready to bank on the Houston Rockets scoring points tonight against the Los Angeles Lakers, and that would be what you would need for the over to cash here. But the pace, I think, is going to be there. It's just a matter of, from what we saw 2 nights ago, are some shots going to start falling here tonight? That's what you're betting on, essentially, with this total. But for me, I'm probably going to stay away.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, but something you just said is pretty interesting. That's the reason why I can't get into this game, because to say that you know what the Rockets are going to do from one game to another, you're really grasping at straws, in my opinion, at that point. They're so wildly inconsistent that I can't invest in them in any way, shape, or form. So with that, let's go ahead and review our plays. Well, you said you don't have anything official, so it's really only one play. It does involve 2 teams. Money line parlay that I have. I've got the Bucks on the money line, and I've got the Heat on the money line. Now, depending on where you shop, I got it at plus 170. You should be able to get it just right at around that number. I think that's great value from 2 teams. One, the Bucks, who I'm not gonna say they're desperate for a win because it's still so early in the season. Just pulling up their schedule real quick. It's not an easy schedule moving forward. They've got to win this game against Detroit because after that they got the Knicks, and then they're at Washington, at Philly, at New York, at Boston, at Atlanta. Then they come back home to play the Lakers. That could get super ugly super quickly if they're not careful. So I'm banking on them getting a win. And I just think the Heat are a much better team than than Dallas right now, the Battle of American Airline Arenas. Yep. Jordan, you got any closing remarks?
I might ride with you on that parlay. If there's one leg on it that I like tonight, and I will jump on, it's Miami. I'm close. I'm very close. I'm a Bam Adebayo probable injury designation away from it. I think that would be where I would, if I did have an official one tonight. That's probably where I'll end up.
Listen, I've been having a tough couple of days. These money line parlays always do my bank account well. If y'all want to ride with me, we'll talk. We'll bask in victory tomorrow together. That's it for us. Thank you for joining us as usual. My guy Jordan Sharp and myself here every day, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, Monday to Friday. Make sure you check out bookmakerreview.com for our articles. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share. Same time, same place tomorrow. Let's cash some tickets. Good luck, y'all.